Hi, guys. Good evening. Welcome back once again to The Edward. I'm your host, Eddie, and in tonight's video, I will be discussing what I thought of the latest episode of AMC's The Walking Dead, which premiered just a few minutes ago. Just got done watching it. Oh, it was another big hitter. Oh, man, when they said all out war, that this season was going to be all out war, I think they meant it because, once again, this was a non stop, action packed, fast paced, just everything happening at once, everything everywhere, all happening simultaneously. It was just a continuation of the same day in another episode. Before I go on, of course, and I keep blabbering on and whatnot, please be advised that this is going to be a spoiler-filled review. If you're not caught up on The Walking Dead by this episode or the past two episodes, do not keep watching or listening, as I will be going into giant spoiler details. If you have seen this episode, please keep watching and listening, as I hope you'll find what I have to say informative and somewhat entertaining. So, you have been warned. Spoilers from here on out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. Oh, so enjoyable, so incredibly enjoyable. Like I said a few seconds ago, how it basically the battle carried over from the last week's episode into tonight's episode. But it wouldn't be all out war with a few casualties. I mean, unfortunately, we had a confirmation of fate regarding Erin's late boyfriend, Eric. He indeed did die. Even though we didn't see his reanimated walker body face to face, it was implied that, he's a walker now because nobody could survive a stomach wound like that to the a gut or stomach wound like that, and because he bled out internally. So that was the last we saw of Eric. It was too bad, it was pretty sad watching him and Erin say their farewells, but at least they both kept their fight going up until the last possible second. And if anything, I think this is going to make Erin even more determined to be even a more ferocious, courageous fighter, because he'll be fighting for justice or for vengeance. Either one works in this case. Not that I'm saying I'm glad Eric's gone, but I think it will definitely create a new chapter in Eren in terms of his character transformation. So we'll see. But yeah, that was pretty sad. Didn't really like seeing Eric go. And something else that was kind of upsetting, because I was hoping we get some more answers out of him, or at least a little more Q&A time. Daryl goes and just kills Morales. And he kills him knowing it's him. He says, "Yeah, I know who it is. Don't matter. You find the guns." Daryl is getting very, very cold. And I think, he's been triggered by what he saw in the last episode when he saw that room with the dog food can and like the shit sandwich and then the handcuffs chained to the wall. It reminded him of his makeshift prison cell back at the Sanctuary last season. And I think that just triggered something in him that made him say all the saviors have to die, every single one of them. Because even after Rick told that one guy he was going to let him go, once he told him where the guns were, Daryl just went and shot him right in the head and just casually asked him, who's got Gavin's outpost or something. And then Daryl and us are kind of like, Jesus, Daryl. Sorry, Rick and the viewers are just like, Jesus, Daryl, you just shot this guy right in the head. I mean, this is something that Carol would do, but you? Damn. Although Norman Reedus did tease that Daryl was going to be going rogue this season. I was reading an interview from a few weeks ago how Norman Reedus and a few cast members teased Daryl going rogue this season, and how he's out for blood, for vengeance against Negan, the Saviors. Any bad guys who cross his path are doomed, basically. So let's hope Negan crosses his path, huh? Oh, God. And I also just loved Ezekiel this whole episode. I loved how the whole opening scene was his pep talk to his troops. He's even getting Carol to smile, a genuine, hopeful smile about how they're going to fight, how their next victory will lead to the next victory and the victory after that. And I loved how the second the Savior stepped out of the woods and Ezekiel and his people all threw their arms up, I'm like, this looks familiar, because there's a scene in the trailer from Comic-Con where he's on his knees along with his troops, and they're holding machine guns and they're firing at an unseen foe. And clearly it was the Saviors. And when they were surrounded, I'm like, that's not the entire regiment, and where the hell is Shiva? And then I realized, okay, CGI tiger, can't be in every single shot. She was probably off to the side somewhere. And then Carol and the rest of the Kingdomers pop up, and then both groups take out the surrounding saviors together, which was very badass. God, I think Ezekiel's optimism and enthusiasm is really infectious, both for the characters and for the viewers, because I feel like we're all starting to feel incredibly confident and hopeful that things are going to go our characters' way. And of course, they have to shatter that with the final scene of this episode, where it's too late for Ezekiel to warn his people. He sees a sniper or somebody up in a tower or something like that through air vents, and then they, like, with a machine gun, wipes down, like mows down at least 4 or 5 kingdom soldiers, and 2 of them throw themselves on Ezekiel to protect him. I'm sure Ezekiel's okay, but I think they've just lost about maybe half their force, or like less than half their force or something, but it looks like quite a few kingdom soldiers went out. But then again, like I said earlier, this is all-out war. There's going to be casualties on both sides. I guess we could take comfort in the fact that many saviors died during this episode, as we saw that right after they took out the outpost where Rick met Morales, and we saw the kingdom. Regiment take out that outpost of saviors as well, right before they're ambushed in the final scene. And I also started to crack up right after they took out the saviors in the woods, and Ezekiel was giving his pep talk. It cracked me up when we saw Shiva walking behind him in the background, and she roared. And I thought, oh man, it'd be hilarious if she started eating the dead saviors, or like one of them. I'm like, that'd be kind of gross, but kind of funny to see. Unfortunately, we didn't see that, but just her being behind him made me visualize it. It kind of cracked me up. I'm like, this would be funny. But oh, what a great episode. Really enjoyable. Like I said, my only beef is that we didn't get more Q&A time with Morales. Basically, what the gist of it was, he and his family never made it to Birmingham. They obviously died along the way. He didn't say how or by whom, whether it was humans or walkers. And basically, it sounds like Morales was in a similar state that Morgan was back in Season 3 when he was just wandering Crazy Town and he was suffering from PTSD. Obviously, a group of saviors found him, brought him back to the main compound, and then he became Negan. But although it was I think it was worth noting that as Rick was naming off all of the dead characters from past seasons, that Morales slowly started to lower his pistol, and then when he's like, Glenn had a wife, but it didn't really matter, because then his pistol was aimed at Rick once again, and then a few seconds later, Daryl storms in and kills him. So but you know what? I still think it was very, very cool and an excellent surprise, awesome twist that he was back, even though it's only for a few brief moments in this last week's episode and this episode. I think it was pretty cool that they got Morales to come back. Even though we have a definite answer as to what happened to him, they got the original actor, and clearly he had changed over the past couple of years. And I still thought it was very, very cool that they pulled that one off, and that they kept it a surprise and a secret up until the final reveal. I mean, props for keeping that under wraps. That is a pretty big secret to carry around, especially for a show like The Walking Dead. But, despite a few character losses in tonight's episode, overall, a very feel-good, exciting, action-packed episode. Like I said, the battle had basically carried from from last week's episode into this episode, and some things took a bit of a darker turn, but overall, very, very enjoyable. Oh, before I forget, even though they're on the same side, and I don't want either one of them to be actually hurt, I did enjoy the Morgan versus Jesus fight. You know what it was for me? It's like Morgan was in this fully amped up emotional state where he's not really in control of his actions, and then Jesus was trying to calm him down, like trying to talk him out of it, but while also defending himself and hitting Morgan back. That reminded me of the awesome fight scene between Iron Man in his Hulkbuster outfit and Hulk in Avengers Age of Ultron, where Hulk briefly goes out of control and Tony Stark has to bring him back under control wearing the Hulkbuster armor, and they get into this awesome public fight. And the whole time Stark is telling Hulk that he's sorry for beating on him, but he's got to calm him down. with Jesus trying to calm down and talk down Morgan while Morgan was like throwing his stick around and smacking him, and Jesus was dodging and ducking him. That felt very reminiscent of that. So like I said, I care and I like both of these characters, and I don't want either one of them to get hurt, but it was still kind of a cool little fight scene. And hopefully that's the last time we'll see our allies fight each other, and they'll focus more on our heroes fighting their true, real enemies. And I know a lot of people were really, really annoyed with Jesus' decision in the last episode and this one to spare the saviors after they surrendered, and by taking them alive, taking them prisoner. But he also did bring up some interesting points that after the war is over, there will be peace, or his point, he said it like war leads to peace or something like that. So I kind of get where he's coming from, even though I don't entirely agree with him. But then I also remembered this show has to have some kind of moral compass. Now, whether or not that moral compass will be acknowledged or ignored is another story, but almost in every season there has been a moral compass. And because we've lost all of our previous moral compasses, I think Jesus has taken on that new role. This character symbolizes that moral compass. I mean, obviously he's a killer. He's very capable of killing a living person, but he's not a murderous lunatic or anything. So I understand people are annoyed with his decision to spare the saviors, but I'm sure that everything that happens on the show happens for a reason, and either it'll bite him in the ass or it'll lead to something better. Overall, great episode. Really enjoyed it. What did you guys think of tonight's episode? Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Please sound off in the comments in the comments section down below. I'd love to hear from everybody. If, as usual, you may disagree with one another, of course, but please keep it civil and be respectful of one another's beliefs. And as always, make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay tuned to the Edward for all videos like this one. And as we continue to follow along the war and the path to victory with our heroes on The Walking Dead, with new episodes premiering every Sunday night on AMC. All right, guys, have a great rest of the night. And of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.